Luke, I am your father.
Meet the Pressers with Matt Mallory and Clint Macro. Brought to you by Public Safety and Education and the Trigger Pressers Union. And now, your hosts.
Hello and welcome to Meet the Pressers. I'm Matt Mallory and my esteemed co-host, Clint Macro.
How you doing, brother? We have a very special guest today, Kelly Ann Pidgeon. She's a kind of a neighbor. She's a few miles away, I think probably about 45 minutes door to door from here to her house in Indiana, Pennsylvania. Kelly's the owner of Armed and Feminine. She's been a content provider, a creator, and instructor, educator for many years. She designs holsters. She's the voice of freedom, speaking for women here in the Commonwealth and across the country. And I'm very honored to have you on our show, Kelly. Thanks for joining us.
Thanks, Clint. Thanks, Matt.
This episode of Meet the Pressers is made possible with the generous support of thelawofselfdefense.com, Nikon, Shooter Technology Group, ASP, Saber Red, the Safer, Faster Defense Responder 2.0, and Lee Armory. Thank you.
DC Rally. That's where I seen you last.
Yeah, great day.
That was fun.
Yeah, it was a good time. I'm glad the weather held out too.
Yes, it was a beautiful day.
And, it was amazing to me to just see so many patriots together in the same area, getting along, sharing the message. You know, when I came to the firearms community over many years ago, 5, 6, I really just found so many genuine, honest, and compassionate people, which is hard to find anymore. But what I found is just everyone in the gun community is just that. And it was really nice to see everybody together, putting their differences aside, because everyone doesn't see eye to eye on everything. Sure. But that main message of preserving freedom in 2A was just loud and clear, and everyone binding together was just awesome. That's what America's about. That's
true. We don't all have to see eye to eye on everything, but right. The one thing that we definitely need to see eye to eye on is First and Second Amendments, right?
For sure. And 14.
I think
and others, but they're all
those amendments are important.
All are important.
So Kelly, you've got a lot of your girls, you call them, right? A lot of people that come and train with you. You're one of the people that I recognized last year at the Trigger Pressers Union annual instructor conference. You're one of the most active educators that I have the pleasure of working with. What's your secret? How do you fill so many seats with butts?
Well, I don't know that there is a secret, more so than I make something available that people want. Especially women. And, I don't want to re-echo Beth's interview that she had with you not long ago. But this is something that women want, and women want to have training. I'm doing a lecture tomorrow over at the university about women and guns. And when I was doing some of that research, what I found is that women are more likely to take training than men are. Women want to be safe. Women definitely want to be safe. Safety is their biggest, top criterion when they're shopping for guns or want to get into this. And so I make that available to them. I know when I started training, which was not even that long ago, just, maybe 6 years ago, I sought out all kinds of trainers. I wanted to keep learning. I wanted to be academic about it. I wanted to know everything. I wanted to get better. And I know how great I felt after going through all that training, that I wanted to provide that for other women. And pretty much all I needed to do was put it out there. And it was just not even really a carrot, but something that women were like, finally, there it is. I can go to it. And as women, we love our men, and I do have some men who train with me on the line. Women like to train with other women. They don't want to feel intimidated. They don't want to look stupid in front of other guys. They want to ask anything they want to ask. And it just provides them a better environment to be just that. No question is stupid. I always say we're not playing with Barbies here. We're playing with guns. So whatever you want to ask, get it out there. So it gives them, a really nice environment that they don't have to feel intimidated in to go. And so, if you build it, they will come. I hate to say that, it sort of sounds cliche, but that's just sort of how it happened. And then it took on, its own life. And, I hire a photographer to come to all of my classes. And so I have a lot of pictures. And you know what?
Wow.
Pictures sell, pictures sell,
Yes, they
pictures
do.
sell. And it's not really about money, but it's about getting more people out and understanding, because what I always say is that, we change hearts and minds one at a time, or in my case, 10 at a time when we do a class. And then I just let them take that feeling and share it with everybody. So they take all of the photos and they share the crap out of them, because they feel so awesome. They're empowered, they're energetic, they're confident. And not just confident with the gun, but it gives them confidence in every other aspect of their lives. Like, hey, if I can master this gun, I can do anything. And so then it just goes to the next person and to the next person. And so that's how we've been able to fill up. Last year was a little bit slower than usual, but the previous years were just waiting lists for pretty much every single class, which is great. We want to be able to get as many people in who want to get in, because one by one, ultimately, that's how I save the Second Amendment from my little part of the world.
That's awesome.
Cool.
What other what organizations, such as like the Well Armed Women, Girl with a Gun, in your area, which ones are the most prevalent, the busiest ones, and are you part of any of those?
I am. I got started through the Well Armed Woman, and that's how where I got my first certification through there, through NRA. And I started up the first Well Armed Woman chapter here 1 year after that. I then became the state leader for the Well Armed Woman, and I opened another chapter in Johnstown, and I opened another one in Warren, PA. And there's one in Monongahela, we have one in Tioga, Lancaster, Tri-State, Matamoros, up in the corner by New Jersey and New York. And let me think of another one. We did have to close North Huntington. So we have 8 chapters now in Pennsylvania of Well Armed Woman.
Wow, that's great.
I'm also the regional trainer for 3 states too. So, and I have USCCA training, and I also have Mr. Pincus's ICE training under my belt too. So we offer a lot of things here. So we sort of overlap. Like when people come to classes through Armed and Feminine, I tell them to continue to train, because, use it or lose it. And so I don't really try to steer them toward one or another. I just say, here's what's available in your area. I'm friends with the women who've established the Girl and Gun. They are awesome folks too. If somebody lives somewhere closer to that, let them go to Girl and a Gun. It doesn't matter to me, as long as you're staying involved, as long as you're continuing to practice, continuing to train, continuing to bring more people to shooting sports. That's what I'm about. So wherever they are, I'm going to find them a resource.
That's awesome.
What led you up to becoming an educator? What were the steps in your life that led you to that? Because that happened later on in your adult life, correct?
Much later, yeah. I didn't start any of this. I didn't even really pick up a handgun until I was 45 years old. Yeah, I know.
Nobody will know. Nobody will know.
So here I am, encroaching very, very quickly onto my 53rd birthday. But, it wasn't something that I really cared one way or another about. I wasn't anti-gun. I wasn't pro-gun. I grew up with hunters in my family, most of whom were archers. We did have a shotgun in the house, one, and that was about it. So I grew up with archery, but it wasn't a big deal. But I do a lot of volunteer work in my community for nonprofits. And one of the things that I had done was I was the vice chair of our disaster team here in the county. And so we worked very closely with emergency management, and we did a lot of tabletop exercises, real-time exercises, you name it. So I ran those. And sometimes we practice those 24 hours or through the night, because you just never know when something will happen. And the sheriff was part of our team, and he said to me, Kelly, you're out all hours of the night. You need to get a gun to protect yourself. I'm like, really? Like, you give me a state trooper? Like, I don't need that. And he said, no, you come up to my office, you get your permit, we'll get you started. So I went up and I visited him, and I passed the background check. So I got my permit, and I really didn't do much with it after that. And then I mentioned it to a friend of mine. I'm like, yeah, yeah, I got my permit. Bob was talking to me and he's like, why don't you come out with us? We've got all kind of guns. And so that was my introduction. My friends brought out an array of handguns for me to try. And first shot, fell in love, even though now I know that they taught me some things incorrectly. That was okay. So that was my introduction, and I just thought it was fantastic. And I just felt so powerful and confident. And that's when I just started to train more. And, I hired a private trainer. I took more classes, and I just thought, I feel great. I need to share this with other women.
That's
And
awesome.
so then, coincidentally, in 2015, I had received the Athena Award, prestigious Athena Award, part of which is about promoting the interests of women. And I thought, what better way to continue to promote the interests of women than to teach them how to defend themselves? So it just sort of fell together. People say stuff happens for a reason, and I think this just kind of did. And here we are.
Yeah, you've always been very charismatic and an excellent presenter. I think the first time I met you, you came down and took my Refuse to be a Victim instructor course. Right. I think is when I first worked with you.
Yeah.
I think I worked with your husband before that.
Correct.
You're an excellent speaker, and I'm very glad that you've been kind of on the speaker circuit now in this last year with a lot of the pro liberty rallies and things that have happened. Let's see, you were at Pittsburgh at the protest rally after the city of Pittsburgh passed their illegal ordinances, which thankfully Judge James just knocked them down. We thank Firearms Owners Against Crime, Kim Stolfer, and Joshua Prince for that. And see, you were at the Harrisburg rally this year. And then, of course, you spoke at the rally in Washington, D.C., which is pretty fantastic.
Yeah, and I actually got to speak at the D.C. Project rally in D.C. also this past
that's right.
summer. And, we just sort of have, my friend Lori comes with me each time. She wasn't able to come to this past one that we had. She says, have protests, we'll travel. And I'm like, yeah, absolutely. And I enjoy that. I don't mind. You could put 10,000 people in front of me and I'm okay with that. The idea is to get the message across from different types of profiles. When we see a lot of this anti-gun legislation, most of these lawmakers have a profile in their mind. Dude with a hoodie, full of tattoos, whatever. And that's really not the case. And, I always use the byline that gun ownership has no profile. So with DC Project, which I love being involved with that, we have so many different profiles, different colors, different shapes, different sizes, different, we're nonpartisan. We have liberals there. We have conservatives. We have middle of the line people. It's everybody. And, what really hit it home was when one of our teams met with a lawmaker, our legislative aide from California. And that person said, wow, you don't look like gun people. Well,
what does a gun person look like? Yeah, right.
Yeah, what does a gun person look like? And so when I get up, and especially in Pittsburgh, Clint, this one hit me home because John Shumway was there and he's friends with my husband because they work together at KDKA. He came by and spoke to me briefly. And then I took the podium and I'm like, well, here you are. And this isn't gloating, but, I'm pretty well educated and I'm a woman and I'm Caucasian. And guess what? I didn't meet the profile that they wanted to interview later because I wasn't like a ranting crazy fool. I knew what I was talking about. I had a good message. I don't meet their criteria as crazy gun person. And so sometimes that gets passed over. But this is what's real. And our lawmakers need to see the real faces of gun ownership and understand the real reason why this is important to all of us. And I am more than happy to share that with anybody who's going to listen.
Hi, I'm Jeff Eisman with Centerpoint Safety Training and Protection from Bedford, Pennsylvania, and you're watching Meet the Pressers with Matt Mallory and Clint Macro.
Meet the Pressers.
This is my favorite holster.
Hey,
and you designed that holster.
I got that too.
Look at that. Yeah. Well, since we're showing.
Yeah.
It's not yours, but.
Traitor.
Yeah.
I'm a big woman in terms of I'm kind of tall. I'm just under 5'11", but there's not a lot to me. I'm kind of scrawny. And so carrying is kind of difficult for me because I don't have a lot of girth to hide things on. And so it was really important for me to find a holster that was very low profile, that I could quickly access when needed to. And then anatomically for me, sorry guys, we'll get a little personal here. I have these hip bones that really stick out. And so I truly only have about this much space between my belly button and my hip bone where I can actually carry something comfortably and have access to it reasonably quickly. And so I have a video about this, like, I'm not kidding. Now I have like 3 bags of bolsters, just like not working. So I just said, screw it. I'm going to make my own. And so I had on paper exactly what I wanted to have: a very low profile, durable, with good retention, a nice Kydex holster that would fit women. And because most companies, pretty much the whole shrink it and pink it thing, I've got my Vetters, I've got my We the Peoples, I've got a little bit of everybody. And the problem that they always have is that giant clip, like you just showed, Matt. That giant clip is mounted in the center of the holster. Well, I put that on with a belt, and it looks like I got a tumor or a colostomy or something else. And so, I even put my belt to the side so they're not overlapping. So the Shibumi company worked with me. I got hooked up with them through a mutual friend. He is a veteran. So, and also is my friend who hooked me up with them. And he just sort of does that on the side. So he was able to duplicate exactly my design in my brain and on my paper. So I was really grateful for that. And so, it's out there. We don't sell a whole ton of them, but the people who do get them love them because of the low profile and durability and good retention of them. So I'm pretty happy about that. I'm just happy that I finally got one that satisfies me.
Well,
a lot of men wear them. A lot of men order them too.
Well, it's that old statement, necessity breeds invention.
Yeah. Well, there you go.
You needed it. You made it happen.
Yeah, I first saw it. I trained with your husband. He came down and we spent the day on the range. And he says, "Here, check this out." And he had the same gun that I did, so we cleared that gun out, and I put mine in it, and I carried it for a little bit, and I really, really liked it. Like you said, the clips on most of them, it causes just more bulge and more stuff there. This happened at the same time. Well, not at the same time, but I did a class with Paul Huska. You know Paul?
No, I don't know.
Yeah. Well, anyhow, Paul and I was in a class, and we were doing an unarmed class, actually with Rob. And Paul kind of jumped on top of me, and he's straddling me. He says, "You got some birthing hips." So I thought, hey, you know what? Kelly's holster might work better for me. And I tell you, I've got a closet full of holsters too, and this is definitely my favorite one, and I've recommended it to many different people. Let's shift a little bit. We got to clear the air on the he Kelly and the she Kelly. So
the original Kelly Pidgeon.
Well, I guess he would be the original because
he's older.
You adopted the name through marriage, right? So
before that.
Yeah. And it's hilarious because I just booked a vacation for us online, and I immediately got an email back that said, "You put the same name in twice, and we can't book airfare for you. Really, it's impossible to get a dental bill paid too. One checkup in 6 months." So we share the same first and last name, different middle names. And so that creates a lot of confusion. A lot of people will send him a friend request who really meant it to be me because he had a picture of me and him, and it just says Kelly Pidgeon, and it just screws many things up. It makes things easy too. I mean, I have one name on the mailing label, one name on the check. That makes life easy for us.
That's funny. We can think of that.
You can have the same towel. The monogram is the same.
Yeah, so for some of it, it's a little easier. It was difficult for my child when she was growing up, of course, but here we are almost 28 years later being married and still run into problems. He's a certified instructor as well through NRA and USCCA, and which made this kind of nice is, husbands usually can't teach wives anything because we're not willing to receive from husbands. Like, doing home improvement projects, it's usually a mess. But this sort of worked better because I got my instructor training credentials, and then the next month he went to your class, Clint, and got his. So we were able to grow through instructor training and gun knowledge and all of this together. So that's what made it work. So he co-teaches with me on almost every single class that I have, maybe except for a few. And I've had to teach him in the girl philosophy. It took him a while, because he worked with boys his whole life. But he gets it now. He's a whole lot better. And Paul Haynes was originally we started with those two and me. And actually now we've branched out in Armed and Feminine. We have now gotten 5 more women who are certified instructors. So there are
awesome.
Most times on our line, and we'll have 10 students, and we'll have 5 female instructors on the line. So it's pretty cool. Or we'll have 4 and Kelly. So he's the other Kelly, male Kelly. Which was funny because one of the students said to me one time by the end of the course, she said, I didn't really pick up that was his name. I thought you were just referring to yourself in third person. Like, no, not third person. The original Kelly Pidgeon.
A lot of people don't know that Kelly is actually the voice on our intro.
Yep.
Yeah, he's just silly voice.
Some people think that's me, and although I have done voice, that's Kelly. And I when we first came up with the idea for the show, I thought I want a professional to do our intro. Yep. So I got in touch with him, and he was very kind enough to do that for us. So when you hear "Meet the Pressers," that's actually him. That's Kelly.
It is, and he's got voice credit on IMDb for doing so.
Yeah,
he's the voice of the DC project too. So he gets voluntold to do a lot of things because he has those talents. And so we just really tried to start our YouTube channel for the DC project. I thought we really need to build this if we can get good content on and get subscribers, because we're really going to be about fundraising a lot in this coming year. That hopefully that would be a nice way for fundraisers, or people to say, these girls have a following. Yeah, we can put some money in there. So he gets voluntold to produce. So he's the voice of several of those videos. He produces them all for us. Diana Muller will text me. I know she's coming on later. She'll text me and say, hey, I'm going to be on Fox at 6:20 a.m. I'm like, I'll kick him out of bed. Okay. And so he gets up, he records it, he produces it in like no time. He's like,
wow.
Just one of those things that you can do fairly quickly, and boom, he's got it up on the channel in a matter of under an hour. So so he likes to contribute, likes to be one of the girls.
Hi, I'm Reverend Ken Blanchard, also known as the Black Man with a Gun, and you're listening and watching Meet the Pressers with Matt and Clint.
Meet the Pressers.
Matt, why don't you inform Kelly about our new initiative?
So,
we don't have enough going on.
I know.
Wait. Am I going to get voluntold about something?
No, but you certainly can spread the gospel about
most
this.
Definitely.
Oh, okay.
Love to have you. So in June, I went down to DC. I went down to Albany and met with about 6 or 7 politicians, political offices, and talked to those writing the bills in New York State against guns. So there's a bunch of different bills they're coming out with, banning the 50 BMG, making it so that you have to take a 5-hour course that has a written test and a live fire in order to get a pistol license. You have to have a hunting license in order to get a long gun. So there's a bunch of different taser. They're trying to get rid of the taser out of the penal code to make it legal now, which is a good one. But I met with all these offices, and when I got done and I was driving back from Albany, it just came to me that we should do something like the National Trainer Teacher Day, but on the political side of it, and National Educate a Politician Initiative.
Yay.
So that's what we've come up with, and we're moving forward on putting that together. And it's basically just going to be a call to action for instructors to get out and talk to your local, state, federal politicians, and kind of some talking points and ways to get your face in front of them to show them that the laws they're making. There's too many politicians that are not educated.
And, without question. We always said that every politician should take at least a firearms course. Absolutely. Yeah. Part of the DC project every year, what we do make available to either the aides or to the lawmakers is to come to range day. Nice. So we'll do our meetings all during the week, and then that Saturday have a range day for whoever wants to come out. Totally free. Listen, you could have Diana Muller, Lanny Barnes, Gabby Franco, Amy Dillon, me, Lori Blackwell. You can have anybody teach you, these big name people who are experts, train you for free. Come on out. And so few take us up on that idea. But you just got to keep working it. Just got to keep working it. Like I said, one at a time. And one thing that I've been making a point to to my lawmakers here locally. Luckily, I have their ears. When you impose those kind of training requirements on people, they're really discriminatory. And I know, Clint, I have posted this for you several times. It's discriminatory against the poor. It's discriminatory against people who don't drive. Even though all of us as trainers and instructors really support training, we really do. But from a liberty standpoint, somebody may only be able to afford just enough ammunition and a gun to keep themselves safe. And so now we want them to go and pay $200 for a course and drive somewhere and maybe wait 3 months. So if training were mandatory, well, guess what? It has to be free. It's got to be free. It's got to be immediate with no waiting period. It's got to be available to people who don't drive. Other than that, it's going to be discriminatory in all of those ways. And they don't recognize that. They don't recognize that in any way. So we've got to just, I don't want to say keep the pressure on, because that's not really how you get through to these people. You get through to common by playing nice. Like I always try to find a common ground of interest. We start there and we just say, hey, look, here it is. Because being antagonistic is going to turn them off, and they're not going to want to meet with you. They're not going to let their legislative aides meet with you. So it's really about, and I hate using that adage, having the conversation, because it gets overutilized, but it is. We need to talk and find where we agree and understand where we don't agree, and how do we bridge that disagreement so that it satisfies everybody. That's the hard part.
Yeah, that actually was one of the things that when I went down there and met with them, they were looking at what my background was, all the stuff that I did before they even, it took them a while to get back to me to actually confirm the date and time. And I know that's what the first person I met with, I sat down and she's just like, yeah, we vetted you. I was like, well, right. I appreciate you meeting with me. I know I'm not one of your constituents, and yep, we vetted you. You're good. And, and they had a couple people in the room too. So it's kind of like, they're not going to meet with you if you're totally off the wall. And we believe in what we believe in. We will not comply. But then on the flip side of that too, we also have to be civil when we're talking to them, because they're already thinking that we're off the wall just because we don't think the way they think.
Right.
Well, two things on that. A lot of times people will be hesitant to speak to someone that isn't their legislator. But keep in mind, these legislators pass laws that affect all Pennsylvanians or all Americans or all New Yorkers, whatever the case. So you should feel free to speak to all of them. Of course, being active as a citizen, voting, making sure that they understand that you vote for everything from president to dog catcher, that you're a voter, will get their attention a little faster. But I charge people too, hey, there are anti-gun politicians, people that are running on anti-gun platforms, and a lot of gun owners are hesitant to speak to those folks. But I say, sit down and talk to them. A, you're not going to make them any more anti-gun, right? So it's only a net positive. But B, you can get an idea of what their talking points are, because a lot of times these anti-gun people, as uneducated as they are, once you get them off of their script, boom, they're done. They don't know where to go. So if you talk to them, learn their script, learn their talking points, so that will give you the ammunition you need when you do have that conversation in a public environment. And you're not going to necessarily sway them, but those two people over there listening, those are the people that we need to sway.
Right. And the people in the middle, we always say that is like, we've already got our side, and those who are way far, we're never going to get them. But we can get these folks, and there are tons of them who are in the middle. Those are the ones we need to get, and we need to get them with thoughtful conversation with facts. Like, I always like to say, don't let the facts, ruin your argument. But because there's so much bad data that's out there, tons of bad data, and they believe it. And terminology, which is horrible. They think semi-automatic just means a big ugly black rifle.
Police semi-automatic.
And to hold ourselves out as resources as well. And I know I do that for my politicians. Say, look, if you don't understand, call me. I'm more than happy to just interpret it for you, or to point you in a direction where you can get good resources. So, but I'm not afraid to go into somebody who's not in my jurisdiction. I've done that. I went to Connor Lamb's office. I made nice with the boy up front. We had people in common that we knew, got right in and had a great conversation, because he's sort of left leans, but he's kind of in the middle. He was a Marine, and it turned out to be an amazing conversation. And so you don't know unless you try. So many of them won't see if you're in your district, but you should at least try. I actually got a response from from Senator Casey one time. It was hilarious. Actually,
Really?
it was like typed this long. If you can see my fingers, like
Wow.
super long. Because I said, I want you to vote against and here's why. And he actually wrote back and said, thanks, but here's why I'm not going to do that. And so
Yeah, I've got a lot of those from Casey.
yeah, he went into his explanation that was, 700 words long. And I'm like, so he's trying to explain back to me why he's not going to. I'm like, oh, this is going to get good. This is going to get good.
If you take that letter and hold it up to the light, you'll see certain letters will be darker, and it'll say "Your opinion doesn't effing matter" is what it says.
Epstein didn't kill himself, is what it says.
Nice.
Oh, that is good. That is hilarious. Awesome. Well, it's been awesome. It's been good having you on. I really.
This was really fun. I enjoyed the chat, guys. Very good.
Definitely.
Well, you're welcome on anytime. Anytime.
What's the best way people can get a hold of you, to follow you, stalk you? Well, probably not stalk you, but catch up with you.
Well, if they want any information, they can hit the contact us button on the website, armedandfeminine.com.
Okay.
Certainly, we have a YouTube channel as well, Armed and Feminine. We have which the old man is the voluntold producer of all of that as well. And we are on Instagram. I'm trying to get that going. And I have a really active public Facebook page. We're like encroaching on 9,000 there. Very active.
Nice. That's
people.
great.
Well, I give things away every time we hit more 500 people, so they try to win things from me. So it's just Armed and Feminine LLC on Facebook too. So you can always interact with us any way, shape, and form. Happy to have you.
And I'll be working with you in March. You're hosting me for an NRA shotgun instructor class, right?
Shotgun. I'm ready.
Yeah, so that's in March. If anyone wants to come to Indiana, Pennsylvania, to beautiful range at Indiana County Bow and Rifle Club.
My new training range.
Yeah.
Awesome.
Yeah, so that'll be in March. It'll be good to work with you again. And I'm sure I'll see you before then. I'm going to have the Trigger Pressers Union, the second annual instructor conference. You going to make it?
And I'm coming to help you on Black Friday.
Yes, you are. You're coming to help me with that class, right? Absolutely. So we'll be seeing a lot of each other.
Yay!
A lot of voluntold going on here.
I'm voluntold. Well, it's Clancy. It's hard to say no to.
Yeah,
True.
I appreciate it. I appreciate all the help and all the things you've been doing for all of us here in the Commonwealth. Keep up the good work.
Ditto. Bye, guys.
Bye.
This episode of Meet the Pressers is made possible with the generous support of thelawofselfdefense.com, Nikon, Shooter Technology Group, ASP, Saber Red, the Safer, Faster Defense Responder 2.0, and Lee Armory. Thank you.
Thanks for watching the show.
Don't forget to subscribe, like, share, comment, and click that little bell so you know when we're going to upload new videos.
So until next time.
Until next time,
Adieu.
Thank you for watching Meet the Pressers.